everybody, Mandus here alongside my co-host Brent Swansen, special guest Jose Raymond on the show. Welcome to Prime Time. We're wrapping up prejudging here at the 2018 Chicago Pro. Guys, we're going to get right into it. Open men's bodybuilding. Was it everything we were expecting, Jose?
Yeah, pretty much. We had Sergio smack dab in the middle. He's a hometown boy. He's a hometown favorite. He didn't disappoint. I had seen him over the weekend, as you did yourself. I'm not sure he was as hard as he was when he won New York. He was a lot bigger, a lot fuller, and plenty hard for this lineup. I think when you break it down and you have Lockett and him, he's just more complete. He takes up more space. He has a certain aura and stage presence that you can't take your eyes off him. Lockett is unreal. That's probably the best I've ever seen Lockett.
Best.
Conditioned, huge.
Upper body.
Upper body. Yeah, huge upper body. And he's getting better, but I just don't think, he's got that leg. He's got some symmetry issues, and Sergio doesn't, And I also want to throw out that Justin Rodriguez, I thought they were going to leave a three-man call out at the end, but apparently it was clear that Justin was third. So I would rather see Justin fighting with Lockett
for the
two spot. That's pretty interesting. It's not a runaway with Sergio, but in my eyes, he's going to win. He should win when all things considered. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm also pleased to see that Brad Rowe was rewarded for his conditioning in the first call. Good for him. He's a smaller, open guy who has not really gotten the love, but he keeps plugging away. He's one of the hardest working kids you'll ever see in the gym and when it comes to dieting. And for him to make a first call out in a lineup like this is huge. And Kevin Jordan back into the first call out. He's taken a step back for a few shows, and he's back in there. I was actually surprised he was in front of De La Rosa. I thought De La Rosa would have just gotten the call naturally, but it didn't happen that way. And as much as I love John, sometimes I'm happy to see that doesn't happen. That a name doesn't just get the call out. That someone who's worked hard and got the bump.
Now, Jose, you talk about Brad Rowe. Finally getting rewarded being in that first call out. He's a smaller guy, open guy. Yeah. Have you ever talked to him or anyone advised him maybe dropping down into the 212?
Well, he's not that small. Because he's peeled and he's still 226, 227. That's after dropping everything, He'd have to lose serious muscle, and then he's 5 inches taller than us.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't help him. Brad's in it. He's a smart kid for marketing himself. He knows he's never going to win the Olympia. He knows that this is just a way for him to get his name and his face out there. And he's quite a savvy business guy. So he's doing the right things, what's best for him. And doing 212 wouldn't be good for him.
Great showing here this weekend, though, for Brent. Now, Brent, there was a lot of talk about Sergey coming out of Russia. We saw the pictures. We heard the hype. He looks good.
Yeah, he looked good. I thought he could have been drier from the back. I thought when he came out and he hit his front poses and his side poses, I was very impressed. When he turned around from the back, he had his huge back, huge legs, but I think what separated him from being, being off on the side of the first call out and to be in the middle is that he just needed to be a touch drier in the hands, touch drier in the glutes. And that's what I saw. I agree with Jose. I think it's a Sergio show. But, something with Lockett that, maybe the novice fan might not notice is that he grabs your eye because he's so conditioned and he's so peeled and he's so hard. But then when you start comparing him in a lineup with Sergio and you go body part by body part, like Jose said, Sergio doesn't have any weaknesses. Now Sergio as dry and conditioned as Lockett, but that's only one facet. When you put it all together, that's why Sergio is 1 and Lockett's 2. But I tell you what, talk about a great 1-2 punch for the Chicago Pro and a great show to see. Both of those guys know how to pose their butts off, and what a show. What a show to watch.
You were really impressed with Lockett when we were sitting there watching. And he did. Lockett looked fantastic. He's bigger than I've ever seen. Yeah. He's as conditioned, if not more conditioned than I've ever seen. But again, Jose, like you said, Sergio just takes up more space, and not only the eye test, but when you see their wheels next to each other, there is a bit of an atrophy problem. There's an old injury there that maybe you don't see when he's by himself, but when you're standing next to a guy like Sergio, you do tend to notice it, and that's probably what's going to separate the two of them. It might be close enough that they have to rejudge this thing tonight.
I hope
we'll
they
see.
do.
You know, now what's interesting, you talk about another guy, Luis Rodriguez. He gets better and better and better as he poses. They might bring the three of them back out tonight.
I'd like to see
you
it.
might get to see that matchup with Lockett and Rodriguez tonight. There was also a little bit of entertainment, should we call it, going on stage. It seemed at the end. With
I love it. It's not boring.
Rodriguez and Sergio.
Yeah, it's all because for a minute I thought, ooh, is something going to happen? But it's all in good fun. Those guys, they were talking, but I thought it was clean. I thought it was great. It brought energy to the stage.
Competitive.
It was competitive, but it didn't cross the lines by any stretch of the imagination. I think I got everybody in the crowd a little bit more pumped up when they went to the most muscular. I mean, that's what people want to see, that in bodybuilding. When you see stoic faces and everybody just kind of mean mugs the crowd, I mean that doesn't get me excited, and I don't think that gets, if it doesn't get me excited, I don't think it really gets the average fan excited.
Guys, let's talk about two rookies. You had a couple guys make their debut. Matt Kuba, hometown kid, right here out of Chicago.
I was very impressed
Me
with Matt.
too.
That was the best I've
up.
ever seen him. He's another kid kind of like a Brad Rowe who's not genetically super gifted,
No.
But he's not afraid to put in the work. And he showed up conditioned. He's worked on his posing. I know his posing was awkward, but it's getting better and better. And, for a tall guy, he's filling out, taking baby steps in making...
Doing it the right way.
Yeah, making progress, because that's the best I've ever seen him.
And he leapfrogged a lot of big names.
Congratulations.
Leapfrogged a lot of big names.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was in the middle of that second call out, and, there's some veterans up here who have, been in the Olympia and have done some damage. And, I know Matt's a hard worker, and I'm just glad to see him rewarded for bringing that type of conditioning to the stage.
And he looked fantastic again in his hometown.
Yeah.
Seth Shaw was another rookie here, another taller athlete.
Yeah.
Right.
Thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think his structure is really great, and I'm a big Seth Shaw fan. To me, if I'm just being nitpicky from where I was sitting, I thought he maybe looked a little flat. Now, I'm used to seeing him at North Americans when he won. He just popped. I know there's a lot of pressure on your pro debut to come out, and maybe he just overdieted a little bit. But that structure is going to take him far. I think in the next few years, he's really going to watch out for it because structurally, he is structurally sound.
Well, here's a valuable lesson for someone like Seth Shaw and anyone listening out there. His color was atrocious. He had no oil on. That's why he looked flat. He was still a big dude. His color was terrible, and you can't do that on the pro stage. You show up with bad color and no oil, you're going to end up shit in the bed, for lack of a better term. And that's what happened to him. His structure is amazing.
Yeah, it's
if he
flawless,
was polished looking with a better tan, better oil, he might have been up a little few spots.
Now, there's a guy I want to ask you about, Jose, because when he came out, my eyes were immediately drawn to him, and it made me think of the kid who was tall with a great structure who won classic physique yesterday, and that was Mark Arthur Daughtry.
Dark.
Dark,
Yeah.
but his muscle was popping, and
Yeah.
that waist,
Crazy
he looked
structure.
like a classic.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He had good legs, too.
Yeah, very complete.
He was really complete. Is that a guy who maybe takes a look at the height and the chart and thinks about switching over to classic, or is that a situation where he just needs to keep filling out that frame?
Well, he just came up to me, and he's a lot bigger than you think. His skull is twice the size of mine, so I don't think there's any way, even if he's probably 6'1", he'd have to be 230, 235.
235,
Yeah.
maybe 243.
I bet he's every bit of
He's over
255
6'1".
right now.
He's tall. He's so tall.
So we're talking about maybe 8 to 10 pounds, maybe?
Yeah, he certainly could. He has that type of structure.
Absolutely. It was pretty.
sure.
It's really pretty.
But I'm a big fan of what he looks like now. He just needs to dial it in a little bit, and he'll be good.
Well, there you have it. Guys, we will try and do better next time.
Anyway, I got one more
for
thing
now,
to say.
Absolutely, Jose.
Sergey, the Russian dude. I've been hearing his name and hearing this. It's just people sending me pictures. This is why you don't believe the hype. Don't judge shows by Instagram. Sure, he was very impressive, but he was nothing like those photos.
No.
Whether he was flat or soft, or you know, he was nothing like those photos, and you can't believe the hype. So coming to Olympia, there's someone that they're posting pictures of right now, a 212 guy who's gonna kill Flex Lewis and gonna be the next everything. His pictures look unbelievable, but you still gotta show up on that day. Do not judge a show by Instagram.
There you have it. Jose, we appreciate you being here all weekend. It's been a pleasure. You're going to stick around tonight to do the finals wrap-up.
Of course.
Of course. You'll be here. We'll be back after a commercial break. We'll break down another division for you. Sponsored by Lavroni's Signature Series.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. We all have a story. We all have pain. We all have things in life that's going to be taken away from us without our control. But I just didn't give up. That no matter what, I was going to end up finishing the race that I started.
Hey everybody, we're back. Look at the special guests I have today to break down women's bodybuilding. The current champ, Helle, how you feeling?
I'm good, I'm great.
Good.
What's up, guys?
And the 8-time Miss Olympia legend,
Oh, yeah.
Lenda Murray.
Yeah, it's me.
All right, let's get right into it. Now, you know, ladies, this weekend is very different than most shows. Yesterday was the Miss International, where several women had an opportunity to get their pro cards, won their pro cards, and we had several of them turn around and compete today.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
How did you see the rookies playing into the lineups today?
Actually, I mean, it was really great because they did an excellent job, and you know, the fact that one was a lightweight, and then we have also the middleweight, and they held their own. And matter of fact, I'm pretty positive that the middleweight will be in the top 5.
Yep.
We had a great lineup of professional women bodybuilders.
Absolutely.
So they were not. So they're rookies, and they held their own.
Absolutely. You know, and to be able to compete back-to-back days, and I bet I knew when we interviewed a couple of them, one or two of them weren't even anticipating this, weren't thinking about it, and said, I guess I got to call my coach to see what we need to do overnight. So that's exciting, and the fact that they were able to do well says a lot for their future.
Yes, yes.
Now, Helle, you know, that first call out, it looked like Jill was really coming on. She didn't start out in the middle.
No, she did not, but they moved her pretty quickly. I mean, Maria Mikola started off in the middle, and then they moved some things around, and they put Jill in the middle, and I think she's going to take it.
You think she's going to take it?
I think it's going to be Jill, Maria, and Jay. That's my prediction for the top 3.
Now, you know, it looked like Jay was a little bit harder and tighter from the front than she was from the back. I thought maybe that's what really pushed Jill over the edge.
Yeah.
But she was in the middle for an awful long time.
Yeah, she was. I mean, Jay has a lot of muscle for her frame.
Right.
She looks really, really good, but she could have been tighter, like especially from the back, her glutes and her hams. I talked a little bit to her about that. She's also doing Norfolk, so very soon. So I'm sure there'll be some things that will be switched around.
Okay.
But for this show, I mean, Jill really looked phenomenal. I was very impressed. She used to be in physique. I think this is her first pro show as a bodybuilder. Actually, it was just in Omaha a few weeks ago. She competed as a physique, and the judges kept saying, you know, you're too big, you're too big, you're too big. And I think the last message she got was like, if you keep showing up, we will have you out of the top 5. You will not place in the top. You're too big.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like she followed the right advice.
She followed the right advice,
and
I think she found the right division for her. You
Absolutely.
know? And I actually talked to her right after prejudging, and she said it was such a relief to just be able to just do her best. Like, she didn't have to hold back. She has this crazy conditioning genetics, and she says she gets really hard, and she always kind of had to really hold back, and now she could just and she found it liberating to just, fulfill her potential.
There you have it.
We are looking forward to that.
Well, if she does take it home, we look forward to seeing her in Phoenix.
Yes.
Now, Lenda, again, we had a couple of those rookies turn around and do the show tonight. There's one or two other women who are really going to be battling for second or third. We just talked about, we know at least one of them are moving on down to Virginia next week to do your show.
Yes.
Is that the last show to qualify for Phoenix?
No, it's not the last show to qualify for Phoenix. Actually, they have the Tampa Pro.
Right, correct.
Yes,
correct.
Yes, they
Correct.
have Tampa. So it's not the last show, and I'm looking forward to seeing the ladies on stage the upcoming weekend and seeing them pulling it together. Like I said, Jay, she could have been a little bit tighter.
Right.
So it's going to be very interesting.
Another week should serve her well.
Yes.
We will be there, guys, Norfolk, Virginia, next week. Stay tuned. If you need to find the details, Lenda, where can they find all the details about that show?
They can find the details at LendaMurrayBodybuilding.com, and it's on July 14th. I'm looking forward to you guys coming out and checking out the best athletes in the world.
Absolutely, we will be there. Well, ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. We're going to do this again next weekend.
Yes.
But before then, we're going to wrap it up tonight. We're going to wrap this thing up tonight. Barring win, lose, no matter how it goes, we're going to wrap this thing up tonight. We will also then see you next week. We're going to cut to a commercial break and be back to wrap up bikini after this.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. We all have a story. We all have pain. We all have things in life that's going to be taken away from us without our control. But I just didn't give up. That no matter what, I was going to end up finishing the race that I started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Prime Time. I'm Mandus Buckle, co-host Brent Swansen. We have Sarah Lyon joining us. Brent, fitness was going on today. What did you see this morning?
Chiquilis and Ferroni is between those two. With fitness, we saw a lot of different looks. Typically, they don't want you as conditioned. We saw some really good conditioning from these girls in the two-piece, and then we saw some really bad conditioning, then we saw some of the girls in the middle. I think they usually judge fitness, they want you somewhere in the middle, they want you in a sweet spot. They don't want you too soft, but they don't want you too hard, and I think both of those girls rode that line very well. Obviously, being the two-piece, it's not, the total score is less than half, so we'll have to see it come back tonight.
Right, tonight's really where it's judged.
Tonight's going to be where it's really judged. Obviously, these points add up, but let's see who brings it tonight.
And Sarah, there was a competitor, hometown Daniel Chiquilis. You said is probably the best version of her you've seen.
Absolutely the best version of her we've ever seen. She had always struggled, getting that conditioning, looking tight, being on point, really. And today she really came out guns blazing. I definitely have her in the first place spot, but like Brent said, only for the two-piece round. We'll have to see what happens tonight with the routines.
Congratulations to the hometown girl. Let's get into bikini. Bikini, we had a comeback. 15 pro wins. India Paulino, 6 times to the Olympia. She's a perennial top 5 and was gone for a while now, and she came back. Sarah, what'd you see?
Well, yes, she kind of fluked, got pregnant last year. You know, all of a sudden it was announced, and then she was off the radar. And sure enough, all of a sudden we started seeing some Instagram posts of her that she was going to be here at the Chicago Pro, and she came out just how India Paulina always comes out. You know, lots of sass, lots of sex appeal in her posing, and she rocked the stage. Really had her in first place until they put them next to each other. That's when head judge Gary Udit started to move them around a little bit and manipulate, you know, the lineup. And sure enough, actually Laura Lee Chapados ended up in the middle at the very end. The shape of her glutes was pretty unbeatable. And India looks amazing. 6 months postpartum, you would have never guessed that.
Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
Never guessed that. But then, you know, it just wasn't there in the tightness in her ham and glute tie-in.
Which you can't even understand how she made it to the stage and it
Right,
looked this good.
right.
Which means it's only a matter of time
Right.
before she's right back in a winner's circle where she's been so many times before.
Absolutely.
Sonia Lewis held the middle spot for quite a while. She looked fantastic herself. Casey Clark out of Minnesota. She ended up in the second call-outs, but she looked pretty good as well.
And Danielle Phelps, she was in the first call out. She was Miss USA last year, 2017, and she came out, and I really thought that she was going to be a little bit closer to the center than she was where she ended up. I think it's going to come down more to, again, the tightness in her hams and glutes. Maybe adjusting a little bit in her back pose. She posed a little close stance for how large of glutes she has. I think it would flatter her a little bit better with a little bit of a wider stance.
Well, it sounds like it's kind of up for grabs because, again, you had India, you had Sonia,
and
you
Laura.
had Laura Lee. So it might not be over. They might do a few things tonight. Stay tuned. We will give you the entire wrap-up tonight. Until later on, guys. Sarah Lyon, Brent Swansen, I'm Mandus Buckle. This is another version of Primetime.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. We all have a story. We all have pain. We all have things in life that's going to be taken away from us without our control. But I just didn't give up. That no matter what, I was going to end up finishing the race that I started